Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Swan. I am just a person who likes fashion, and I just wanted to make a video today about the ethics of buying reps versus auths. And by reps, I'm talking about replicas, basically counterfeit goods, replicas of high fashion items, such as, say, like a Gucci handbag. I want to open with a disclaimer because I do think the decision to buy reps or not is really influenced by just the person who is doing it, right? Like where they are at financially and economically. So I'm gonna make it very clear. I am rich. I am a software engineer with a little bit of generational wealth. So that being said, just know that that is why I may have the views that I have. I also want to make it clear that I have both replicas and auths. So there's that as well. And I want to make it clear that this video is not promoting doing illegal things. I am just, again, a person who likes fashion. I will include my own personal thoughts of what I do, but please do not frame it as like advice or something like that. So I appreciate that. All right, so now that's out of the way. If you already know what reps are, you can probably skip to some other section of the video. And I do have timestamps, so feel free to use that. So in a very brief overview, reps are short for replicas, and they are replicas of very high value items. And they're often sold at a much cheaper price. And the labor costs and the marketing and the packaging are often not nearly as much as what the big fashion houses are investing. So you might ask, okay, like I've seen knockoff goods before, like in, you know, cheap vendor stores or booths, and, you know, why is this such a big deal? Well, the thing is that the replica market has become so good that it's often impossible to tell that it's fake anymore. Almost to the point where I have heard stories of genuine like fashion house stores encountering fake goods in their own like inventory because perhaps like their sales associates like didn't check hard enough, even though they are trained to do so. So for that level of quality and craftsmanship into a replica, that would be referred as a one-to-one replica. One-to-one as in like every single detail one-to-one is identical to the genuine one. Believe it or not, these one-to-one replicas are still quite accessible and affordable. It could be like 1/5 of the price of the original. And I think that's where the ethics question it becomes much more like relevant here. Because if something is like very obviously fake, the lower price would be justified by how fake it is. But if it's literally almost exactly the same, then it's just like, it really does threaten the structure of like the fashion industry. And I'll get a little bit more into that later. But anyway, that's a little review of what replicas are. I could honestly do a whole ass video about like how reps are produced or just how good are they. This video is not about that. I just wanted to focus on like the ethics of it. But anyway, all right. So now let's go into the pros and cons of reps and auths. So let's start with, why even buy reps? The first most obvious reason is because it's more affordable. Even though some of the really, really good reps could be quite still kind of expensive. For example, a rep of a Birkin bag could be like $300 to $500. Like that's still not a cheap bag, right? But it's still much, 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 much cheaper than the real Birkin bag. And I'll go into why later. Getting a $20,000 Birkin bag is not just $20,000, but you can get like a rep that is like $500 and just jump straight to that bag. So that is one pro. Another pro is that personally, I believe that everybody deserves a chance for self-expression. I know that like a huge appeal of these huge hype brands is to be prestigious, have prestige. I would prefer a fashion landscape where everything is accessible to everybody. I just think that like a less classist fashion landscape is just, it's just more fun. That is my personal take. You don't have to agree with it, but that is just my personal take. Okay, another pro is that it gives jobs to people who need it. These reps are made in China. Regardless of how you feel about the Chinese government, I think there is something to be said when you're helping the source, the actual factory workers who are trying to feed their families and their kids, instead of like all of the money being funneled to like marketers. Like the people who work at these factories probably need US dollars more than, say, the CEO of like LVMH, which is basically the parent organization of all these huge fashion brands like Louis Vuitton and Saint Laurent and stuff like that. And that kind of carries on to my next point, which is that there is something very anti-capitalist about buying reps. Not super anti-capitalist, obviously, because you're still buying something, but like it's definitely very disruptive. It has to be disruptive enough that they had to like make it illegal. There's been discussions on r/fashion reps about this anti-capitalistic nature of buying reps, because you're basically disrupting the marketing chain in some way, and you are buying goods for their pure value and not for like the perceived value and the hype of it, which is ultimately kind of thin air. So buying reps is really like a true fuck you, even more so than say like burning a genuine Louis Vuitton bag or something like that. Because you are able to reap the benefits of this brand's marketing and hype and all the money poured into it without giving them a single dollar. Now you may be thinking, oh, but if you're touting this brand along or something like that, say it's something very visible, like it says Gucci on it, right? Aren't you just doing the marketing for them? And that is kind of true. But on the other hand, if you reveal that it's fake, then you could disrupt that as well. Because somebody would be like, holy shit, this is a really good quality fake. Like, I'm gonna go get a fake one myself. So you could be marketing something fake if you reveal that. Bit of a double-edged sword and there's a lot of complexity there. But I think all in all, it does reduce their bottom line. So there's that. Another pro, which is practical, is that because it's cheaper than a genuine bag, you can afford to like fuck it up a little bit. I mean, you can even just get like an authentic bag and have that be like your, display case bag or whatever, and then get like a rep bag as like your beater. So it's like, you can almost kind of have the experience of having both without having to worry about like banging it up all the time. And yeah, if you end up having that bag stolen or something like that, it's a lot less of a financial burden on you. Now let's move into the cons, or why one may want to avoid reps. The most obvious reason is because like if everybody bought reps, it could potentially dismantle the entire fashion industry. I'm not completely sure if it will completely dismantle it to the point where we have no more artists. But, there is definitely a risk of dismantling like the status quo, which is, there's hype, there's prestige built on the fact that, this bag is really expensive and only a certain number of people could have it, right? Like that is the hype, that is the prestige. Even just me holding that up to the camera, it's like, do you even know if it's real? Like, I could have just been lying there, right? The price of that bag has the power to provoke a feeling in somebody. And if it's not real, then that power is just taken away. I think that is something to, to think about. Do we want, as a society, want that to be part of our status quo. Here's another con, which is like super fucking classist in my opinion. But another con is that if the rep doesn't match the rest of like your aesthetic, like your car, your clothes, your mannerisms, people will just like spot you and think that it's fake, or they could just suspect that it's fake, even if it's not fake, which is like, I don't know. And because of that, you will be judged. They may not even say anything, but like they're gonna judge you. And subsequently, if enough people do that, like if enough people are judged as being fake or too low class for like the bag that they're holding, rep or not actually, they will garner a reputation for bringing the brand down. So for example, my mom and I were talking about Louis Vuitton bags, and one of the most popular Louis Vuitton bags is the Neverfull. It's very iconic. It's like brown with like the classic monogram. And my mom was just like, Louis Vuitton is becoming kind of cheap these days, especially with that type of bag, because all of these like low-class Vietnamese women are just like wearing them all around Lion Plaza, and it just looks trashy now. And I was just like, yo, what the fuck? I was just like, bitch, you were literally one of those women. And you weren't necessarily even lower class. Like, you were just like not as rich as we are now. Like, what the fuck? Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, I do want to say as like an aside that no matter how hard you flex, there is a person richer than you that is looking down on you because they think that your flexing is like trash. Just trust me on this, okay? Like, the flexing has no ceiling. The flexing has no ceiling, okay? Like, if you want to flex and you're not gonna stop until you feel satisfied, you're just never gonna feel satisfied. I'm just gonna let y'all know that, okay? I have heard people get insulted for wearing Rolexes that are of a certain tier. So just don't do it. Now, let's move on to why buy auths. So the number one prime thing is because it just feels so good, dude. Like, who doesn't like to have something real? Who doesn't like to walk into a store and, you know, be treated with beautiful customer service, which isn't, I'll go into it later. That's actually not always the case. But you know, a lot of the time, you're treated beautifully. You take your time. They give you like a bottle of water. There are some places where they take you to this like back room and you and your buddies can like chill out, lounge. You know, they pour you some like wine or something like that, give you like some crackers and cheese, and they show you some like exclusive bags that are not in the front. Like, it feels so good. Okay, there's no denying that you are just like romanced. So that's the number one reason. And you know, you can't really just get those experiences by not buying things. You only get those experiences by building a relationship with the salespeople and like, you know, and being romanced by them and buying things eventually. So that is the number one reason. It's like you've entered a community or a club in some sense, although it is very shallow and very vapid. But you'll be quite surprised, like, you know, when you reach certain echelons of society, this is kind of like the friends, like this is the community that they surround themselves with. Like my mom, she became friends with her LV sales associate like about 10 years ago or something, and they're still kind of friends. But basically, like, they were more than just like, you know, hey, here's a bag. I thought of you when I saw this bag. Here, check it out. It is like, this lady was recommending my mom plastic surgeons. This lady was giving her life advice. I think my mom probably gave something to her kid at some point. Like, it is like a real ass friendship. So, I mean, to some degree, there's always like a professional veneer to it, of course. Number two, which is also, you know, a prime reason, is that artists are paid. The question of like sustaining art culture is a very complicated one. But there is no doubt that when you buy an authentic piece, at least some of the money is going to the person who designed it and mocked it up and all these things and empowers them to go make more, right? I honestly don't really know how much these people make. I also do know that, like, you are not just paying the artists, you're also paying the marketers, you're also paying, like, you know, the buildings that hold all of these bags and stuff like that, the training, all of that stuff, right? I want to live in a world where artists can be paid, can, you know, feel free to be creative and not have to do things that are just popular. I would love to live in a world where artists can, you know, truly unleash their genius, even if it's wildly misunderstood. Another one is that you have a very high chance of knowing that what you're gonna get is going to be the best quality of that thing that you could get. Like, there's not gonna be a rep that's better quality than the auth most of the time. I think I've read reviews where somebody has said that actually has happened, but that's also super subjective. And if you're buying something online, there's no way you're gonna know. But yeah, you can see it in person, you can touch the quality. That's just a safer buying experience as a whole. Another one is that there are going to be some very unique things that rep factories are just not going to make. So if you're the type of person who likes very bold or very unique statement pieces, you basically have to buy auth every single time. Because let me get an example. This is a wallet that my mom got for me from Louis Vuitton, and they had a collection of like painters or something like that. When I look back at it, I'm like, damn, I honestly should have gotten more, because this was like one of the most incredible collections that I have personally beheld. But yeah, so I got this Manet wallet, and there's very little chance that this is going to be replicated. It's just so, there's just so much like detail. And it's so kind of out there. Like, this lady is like naked, you know? What are the chances that a rep person is going to sell like a ton of these to justify like manufacturing them? It's not a very high chance. I don't think it's impossible, but I don't think it's a very high chance. I think that in this sort of case, it's like 1000% buy an auth. And lastly, you can get a secondhand auth for a cheaper price, and no one is gonna know. Just saying, nobody's going to know except you, and you will be like helping to save the planet. There's a lot of people who get just bored of like their bags, you know, and they just like put them up for sale, and they're hardly even used, and you can sometimes get like a very steep discount for some of these things. I would say, as of right now, currently, if it looks really trendy, if it looks really good in great condition, you're not going to get a super steep discount. If you're just looking for something like fairly basic, like say the Louis Vuitton Neverfull or something, that bag has been out for so long, and so many people have owned it, and so many people have like, I guess, moved on from those bags in their personal like fashion journeys, that you're very likely to get one of those for cheap. I know that kind of interferes with the feeling of buying something brand new and you made it and it's yours and like all that kind of stuff. But I'm just throwing that out there in case, you know, you don't care about that sort of thing, but you just want like the bag. So now let's go into the cons. Why not buy auths? And here's where I can start getting a little bitchy, so please forgive me. I think like the first reason is just the ridiculous culty behavior of these places sometimes. I just had this experience at Chanel that frankly just like annoyed the shit out of me. I personally have never really bought Chanel bags, but my mom has like quite a few. And when I tried to buy a bag for the first time, they kept asking me if I was a repeat customer, which was like, why does that why does that matter so much? Does that mean that you're gonna treat me super differently if I am? And whenever like I want to buy something on the website, it's mostly not in stores, which is what they kind of do on purpose. They try to tantalize you, like, hey, we make good shit. And, you know, it's really hard to get, just letting you know. And the thing that I also don't like is that the sales reps don't treat you nice. They treat you like, hey, we got good shit. Prove to us that, like, you like us. Otherwise, you just don't deserve our bag. And it's just like, fuck, man, like, I feel like I have to really just ingratiate myself and just really, like, you know, suck their dick on these details that are frankly, you know, they're nice, but they're not like, you know, I'm not going to like get on the floor and bow, which kind of feels something like I have to do. You know, like I was trying to buy this like bag and they kept trying to like recommend me like cheaper, smaller bags that I just wasn't that crazy about. It felt a little patronizing, like, oh, you're not ready for this bag. And it's just kind of like, look, like, it's not that inaccessible to me. Like, I have the money. Can I please just buy it? Like, can I please just? And it's just like, okay, you know what? If they require me to perform a certain way to buy a bag from them, then I am just like, there's so many fucking reps for Chanel. There's so many fucking reps for Chanel that are like fantastic looking. You know, I am not going to like go through this whole ass process. Anyway, sorry. But believe it or not, that's actually not the worst of it. What I've heard is like my mom knew like this lady who was really into Patek Philippe, which is like they have this program where if you want to buy like $100,000 watch, you need to start off with their $10,000 watch, and then move on to their $20,000 watch, and then move on to their like $30,000 watch or whatever the fuck, and then you can finally buy their $100,000 watch. I'm sorry, but I fucking hate that shit. I fucking hate it. I know that is like that cult like, you know, hoop jumping is precisely what gives it that like prestige, but I just fucking hate that shit. I'm sorry. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, another reason why I don't like some of auth culture, I suppose, is that amongst the very wealthy, some of these are just treated like stocks at this point. And I think that just completely ruins the point of fashion. Fashion is supposed to be, you know, enjoyed, adored for its artistic merits. But when you have like Birkin bags that are like hundreds of thousands of dollars and they never see the light of day, and, you know, their only purpose is to be resold at a higher price, I'm sorry, but that's just like complete BS. Like, I just can't. And I think another great reason to avoid auths is, frankly, because a lot of the quality has been going down. It's really quite sad. And like, a lot of brands are moving their production to China. I want to make it very clear that Chinese people are not bad at making things. It's just that the designers want to pay less for labor, and Chinese people are cheaper because of politics and because of all these other reasons that are not because of craftsmanship particularly. Okay, I want to make that super fucking clear. But, you know, if these brands are making things in China and you're getting like reps from China that are like one-to-one, like what exactly is the difference? Like, what exactly is the difference at this point? Except for the like huge price gap, right? But other than that, like, things are just being made a bit more flimsily. Things are just being made just less buttery. Things are just not impressively produced anymore, even at genuine brands. So, and at the same time, they're charging the same prices, if not higher. All right. Whew, boy, that was an impassioned rant. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, so thank you for listening. And anyway, so I'm gonna close off with like what I do and what my thoughts are. My personal opinion is that both are valid. I do not judge either method. I just don't judge, because I think there are great reasons to do or not to do either of them. And what is important is just knowing where you are in your fashion journey, in your financial journey, and, you know, just like what are we here to do in the end? We are here to express ourselves. We have access to whatever kind of bitch we want to be. Those are my thoughts. Please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. I would love to hear them. Just be respectful, of course. And yeah, I hope you all have a good day, and thanks for stopping by my channel. Bye!